Women Making Moves, where we celebrate the moves that women are making. My name is Amy Pons, founder of Unlock the Magic, Coaching, Marketing, and Healing. I'm joined today with Erin Correa. Erin is a proud mom of 2 energetic boys and a loving spouse. She balances life as an entrepreneur and a 2-time cancer survivor with passion and purpose. Her journey has shaped her into a dedicated advocate, empowering others through her work as a sex educator and intimacy coach and advocate. Beyond her professional roles, she finds joy in building with Legos, exploring the rhythm of life through music, nurturing her garden, reading and staying strong with MMA. Her story is one of resilience, love, and connection as she aims to inspire others to embrace life fully and fearlessly. Erin, welcome.
Thank you, Amy.
So many things about your bio I want to lead into.
Ask away. I'm an open book.
Same. I'm glad you're here. 2-time cancer survivor. How far out are you?
From lymphoma, I am almost, I think, 2 years out now. You kind of lose count. Most people are focused on like a certain date. I don't focus on that. I just focus on how good I feel or don't feel on that day. The doctors focus on that more than I do. From breast cancer, I'm less than a year out.
How do you feel today?
Today is a good day. Every day is a good day.
Oh, sure.
It just depends on the level of greatness.
So, this is the first time we're meeting, so it's beautiful. So we're going to learn a lot about each other this hour. I was in corporate America my whole life, but I also always knew I had gifts and abilities to feel, sense, understand energy that we can't, as humans, can't see, feel, or touch. So with that, with all of the women I serve, we move energy in our coaching sessions. That's a big part of the healing. Do you see any correlation between stuck energy and your 2 cancers?
I don't know if there was stuck energy. People will often ask themselves, what did I do wrong to get cancer? Was it a genetic predisposition, or was it a lifestyle, or horrible luck? I have turned every single diagnosis around and say I'm blessed and I'd rather it be me than somebody else, because I have the deeper understanding and knowledge being a registered nurse, coming from a medical family, than a lot of the traditional cancer patients do. So I immediately knew that it was going to be okay, that I could do this. Whatever, if there was a blocked energy, I said, nope, it's fine. And I just took care of it and got rid of it. And now that I consider myself retired from bedside nursing. You never retire from being a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not been able to go back into the traditional bedside role. I have definitely cleared that energy into being a happier, more productive, more empowered person.
That's amazing. And the reason I asked it that way around energy is that depending on what your philosophy in this life is, everything that unfolds before you can either be for you or to you, and that will navigate your level of personal suffering. Again, that is not to suggest that we are doing anything to ourselves. And let me give myself as an example. After I left corporate America, I had a hospital stay. I had like nearly sepsis. Like there was like a big purge happening in my physical body. And the doctors were like, we have no idea why this is happening. Well, as I've understood more about metaphysics and energy and the way that we store things, medically, quote unquote, Western medically, nothing was wrong. And they couldn't find like a source to this. And inside, I knew that my body was shedding all of the lived experiences that didn't align with my favorite self. And I needed to get rid of it, which looked like staying in the hospital for a long time, needing surgery to clear certain things, getting on really big antibiotics, which leads into other things, of course. That I've had that happen twice now. And so what I do personally, so that I don't have to go to the hospital every time that I have a purge or like need something to get rid of, I do my own energy work so that I do clear and move energy so that it doesn't manifest inside my physical body and then I need to go do something about it. So, long story short, I'm especially as a medical expert, do you feel that illness or sickness of any kind starts inside first? Well, of course it's inside, but like emotions or lived experience or lineage or anything like that.
We have a long history of repressing emotions, of not working and living in healthy environments, whether that be at home or in the workplace. And it's across the board. It doesn't matter where you live or where you work. As humans, generally speaking, don't tend to deal with a lot of that. So there is a lot of that suppression, repression, and we're now coming to a place in society where I find that we are bringing up these topics as you're speaking about, where it is now, is it really more internal? Is it, or it is internal meets external, where we discuss the differences between mindset changes and challenges and positivity. And there is scientific evidence to back that up. There is 100% scientific proof that when we have the mindset change, where we get more in touch with ourselves spiritually, energy wise, you can call it 1,000 different things.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
Metaphorically,
whatever.
that chronic illness, whether it be cancer, diabetes, arthritis, Crohn's, that general population ends up doing better and healing better than those who do not. There's a difference between having, like, oh man, today sucks.
Oh, right. Feel your feels.
Own
It,
your feelings.
oh, yeah, for sure. It's not, you and I aren't suggesting, if I may, you and I are not suggesting that we're like, okay, everything's great every day, all day. No, no. But, and I've done this work. Everything always used to happen to me. So everything did happen to me. I was calling that in constantly. In this moment in time, this thing right in front of me might feel bad. And I know there's something on the other side that's going to help me like up level or ascend into my own, to use your word, greatness. I know and trust that. So that's how I move differently now. And
It,
I don't get sidelined by the muck or the icky, but I do feel it.
we absolutely acknowledge and own, right now I'm in pain, or my stomach's upset, or I just don't feel like peopling today. Okay, great. You don't feel that. Accept it, you honor it, you move on. But that doesn't have to hold you either. And then what else you're describing is exactly what I feel is women in general in our society have been taught all of our lives, is you're in tune with yourself. And we as women are taught, well, we're whatever definition of gaslighting, whatever you want to call it at this point, it's, oh, well, I really don't feel well. Okay, well, can you describe it to me? And you can give a laundry list of symptoms. Oh, well, you just have this, or you just have that, or just go home and lie down. You're just having PMS, or you're just having, when it turns out there's a whole other now discovered list of disorders that are associated with it. That because we're women, we don't fit into the men's box, where mainly men were studied in science and medicine.
Until 1993, right? Like women weren't even looked at until 93 in terms of like we're just catching up to that. Just in 23, the industry finally used blood instead of water for tampons to test them. So it's that line between, and again, I could sit here and be like, this is all happening to us. No, I find that personal line between getting frustrated that it happened that way and also being grateful that women like us, humans, are out having the conversations that we were never necessarily allowed to have, or like given the opportunity to have, saying the hard things, and to your point, getting back in tune with ourselves. And this is really huge, especially to your point, when it comes to medicine. I don't feel, especially women, have that, we could say all the things, empowerment, permission, all those things, whatever. We have not been taught that it's okay to question people in charge, especially like doctors. So it's like you kind of just like do whatever they say. This is my experience. And I just recently realized, I'm like, oh, you don't have to do everything they say. Meaning there were things that when I was in the hospital, the doctor wanted to inject me with and give me, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. I learned that I could say no.
That's exactly it's part of the whole now learning and discussing consent. Women have the ability to consent their body,
Yeah.
being in tune. What is normal for you?
Yeah. Because it's not the same.
It's not. And each one of us is so individualized.
And that's gorgeous. And that doesn't fit with the turn them out, get more patients, make more money.
It does not.
It does not fit.
Women's health in general. You speak in general, women's health. The healthy women out there, even if you could follow the regular healthcare model, still have unique challenges that need to be discussed. And then you go into the subcategories of those with other issues, whether they're chronic health issues or, specific women's health issues or whatever they may be, whether they're gastrointestinal related, general urinary related, cancer related. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to take the time with them
Mhm.
and you have to allow them, as you're saying, permission or whatever the word we want to use.
Yeah, because I'm not suggesting that we don't have permission all the time. It's more about giving the wiggle room or the space to say, hey, say the thing that's hard or embarrassing or what you don't want to admit or whatever it is. You can say those things.
We almost need the green light that go ahead
Yeah,
now
there it is.
as women in general to say like it's okay.
The green light. I love that. So thank you for all of that because while we've made such incredible strides and there was such a big initiative towards women's health research that we'll see if it sticks. I doubt it,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But there's just so much more that we don't know. So having these conversations, this is one of the reasons that Women Making Moves was created, because I wanted to have the conversations with women worldwide who are having the conversations and teaching each other the things that we either weren't taught or given the green light to talk about. That's the magic. We're on the front lines of it.
Yes, we have the conversations worldwide, but I feel a lot of, we talk about women, but there are a lot of men out there fighting, I will say fighting the fight or being
Absolutely.
supportive, whatever terminology we want to use. I don't think there's any one particular good phrase for it anymore. Supportiveness, whether it's brothers, spouses, friends, neighbors, relatives, it doesn't, the guy at the grocery store, male population, trans population, everybody these
Yeah.
days,
Humans.
humans, it's the support of one another that is starting to grow. It's starting to have these conversations, starting to say, but it's not right to just have this, or yes, we should be having the conversations. We should be questioning this. We should be doing more research. We should be giving the green light to one another.
Yeah. Yeah. Which brings me to something along the same veins of like what we were taught. So I'm an elder millennial, and I was only taught as it relates to our periods, our cycles. I kind of chuckled because if anyone asked me how I'm doing on a different, like any given moment, I'm like, I feel pretty good today. I'm in my follicular phase. And so my hormones are ramping back up in my cycle. So I feel pretty good. And everyone's like, what? Because they're looking for like how are you? Good. How are you? Good. many women have said that since I've started to share like authentically how I'm feeling inside my body, they're like, what are the phases of the cycle? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was 42. I just learned last year. I'm 42 now. I just learned last year the four phases and how they're significant to my body. I'm 42. So it goes back to what I was taught back in fifth, sixth grade. We talked about periods, sure. But number one, we weren't taught what's genuinely happening over the four phases. Your uterine lining prepares, for a baby, and if you don't have it, you shed that lining. I guess that's the most simplified version you can say. Well, we weren't really taught that, and it was only connected to having a baby. It wasn't like around just like what are our parts in that region.
Absolutely.
Can we, with young women, I'm not suggesting a fifth or sixth grader could understand necessarily what all the parts are and why it's different, why it's important, and that here's how you have an orgasm, but like supporting young women at different age ranges or cycles or whatever phases, whatever you want to call it, to prepare her adequately for the way her body is receiving different phases of her life.
This is something I actually get really excited over. So,
Okay.
as a young woman, I received the Catholic explanation, and it was just like, oh, okay, great.
What was that explanation?
This is what your period is. This is what the boys' parts are. This is what the girls' parts are. Even at home, it was like the most basic. I can still remember exactly what the birds and the bees talk was. I got my first period young. I was 10. I was already developing and everything else. If my mom ever hears this, she's going to be like, oh my gosh.
Same. Developing, that means you get breasts. That means you're
Oh,
developing.
I had breasts very young, everything else. And I pushed status quo as to, I didn't let anybody control what I was going to wear or not wear and everything else. It was a little bit more outgoing. I was always we'll say sex positive. even
Yeah.
even younger, I was like, but I want to wear what I want to wear because I'm comfortable and I like the way I look.
Good for you.
And now being 43, thinking, oh, I'm proud of myself, but now I understand why at like 12 they thought I was 16.
But
And
that was never your problem.
no, and I always stood up for myself.
No one should be looking at you that way.
No,
You're
absolutely not.
you're a minor regardless, so like why is anyone looking at you that way?
Oh no, I embraced all of it,
Yeah,
even at a younger age. But it's still like that's a whole nother topic. But I
sure.
can remember it was an afternoon. I was always a tomboy. I'm playing basketball barefoot in the front yard, on the driveway. And my mom's like, come on, I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay, great. She comes in and she's like, I need to tell you what sex is. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, your point. So she gives me this, okay, well, man's penis gets hard. He inserts it into the vagina. And he rubs and rubs and rubs. And at that point in time, I'm just like, why are we having this conversation?
Even that, I had no idea how sex happened. Like, kudos. I don't know.
But it was just like, I literally was like, can I go back and play basketball now?
You just didn't know where it came from.
I'm just like, it was so left field. And I'm just like, so inappropriate timing and everything else. And I'm just like, okay. And
You
I'm
didn't
like,
care.
I didn't care. I'm like, I just wanted to go play ball. And I was literally out front playing ball with all the boys. Like, I didn't care. Like, it would have been more appropriate to like take me out to lunch and like, or ice cream and, as they say, or like later on in the day. And I'm like, I'm going to do so much better for my children.
But again, like I'm excited that you even got that much information. The talk, quote unquote, that I got was before I was going to prom with my boyfriend and we were going to stay overnight on a farm in a tent. I think my mom said use condominiums. I'm like, what? For what?
So nowadays, kids have access to the internet, which we didn't have.
Right.
We didn't have any of that. I can remember, going to the library and having to use a Dewey Decimal System. Now they have access to everything else, but what they're lacking in that access is good factual information that's structured for the appropriate age group, which I'm actually looking at doing is building, or I'm in the process of starting to build an actual program. And it would be under growth and development. So it's health and wellness and growth and development. And what you would, age appropriate wise, is you focus on the changes, your body bubble. And when you're younger, like these are your personal areas, consent, nobody touches them. You got to keep them clean, proper bathroom usage. You get like kindergarten, first grade. And then as you start getting like third, fourth grade, you need to focus on personal hygiene and start preparing girls and boys, because boys start puberty younger now. Your body's going to start going through changes. You're going to smell a little bit more, or you might start developing body hair, and not just explaining to them like, oh, you're going to hit puberty, but what is puberty? And break it down a little bit more scientifically. I think sometimes kids hear puberty. I know my 9-year-old heard puberty and oh no, I don't want to grow up. And in not wanting to grow up, it's got him scared now. But then going through and explaining to him scientifically, it's something that everybody's body goes through. You're not abnormal, that you are normal, and it is okay.
You hit it. It's bringing it back to science and taking, especially the younger they get, taking kind of the sexuality part out of it, which is hard because how do you say what certain parts are without going into the sexuality?
Anatomy and physiology and biology at that point. It's not a sexuality thing.
It's just like a clitoris. This is a part.
This is a part.
Mm-hmm.
As you would say, okay, you have a penis.
Yeah.
You have testicles. You have a prostate. You're going to develop breasts. You have a vulva, and in all things surrounding the vulva, you have multiple parts to that. And explaining this isn't just about having sex, because we've already proven the abstinence model only doesn't work. Where there's a will, there's a way. If they want to fool around, they're going to fool around. If they want to avoid having pregnancy, they're still going to have oral sex, they're going to have anal sex. It's going to happen. But it's also using empowerment language around anatomy and physiology and, science, biology, not bringing into the sexuality aspect of it, which is easy to do because you don't sit there and say, oh, well, you're going to use your penis to masturbate. And when you masturbate, you're going to ejaculate. And this is what happens. And it's going to feel really great. You're going to orgasm. Or if you rub your clitoris really hard, you stimulate yourself, you're going to have an orgasm. No, you don't tell them that when they're 10 years old.
Right.
That's not appropriate. But you can teach them their body parts. You can explain to them that they're going to start experiencing changes that are normal in growth and development. Please start wearing deodorant. Things like that.
And when you start from the place of, here's what your own parts are, let me ask you, would you also teach a young person to learn about parts they don't have? And where I'm going with this question is, when does it become appropriate to first understand how to self-care and further down the line, self-pleasure? Also, then when you get a partner, how to do that?
Children are developing at different speeds. So by late elementary, you should know self-care.
Late elementary self-care.
By late elementary, you should know your own parts. And you should know if you were born a boy, you should know your male parts. Born female, you should know your female parts. I have friends whose children identify as otherwise, however they want to be identified as, but you should still know how to take care of yourself. And I want to bring it back that although being a sex educator, you have to start with the basics. And the younger we start, the better it is. But it's never too late to learn. So by middle school, you should know protection because kids are getting active younger. So by 8th grade, you should be able to know boys have a penis and girls have a vulva. By high school, you should know protection, your STIs, the risks, By late high school, it should be at least parent approved, obviously. If you're going to be sexually active with a partner, know your options. Know if you're going to be that, because boys are masturbating as soon as they know what it is. Let's be honest. I've heard tons of stories from all my male friends. Oh yeah, as soon as I figured it out, you know how many tube socks I lost? Not even being funny, but serious.
Yeah.
In the shower when they were like 15, 16 years old.
Right.
Okay. So now let's focus and turn the mirror to the other side, going, okay, well, girls, what did you do? I didn't do anything about it. I didn't know what to do.
I had no idea.
So would we be able to prevent more teenage STIs, rape culture, partnered incidences in general, if females in that age group were taught more about their own sexuality in age appropriate context?
Sure, we keep going back to that because I think we're very aware in this conversation. We're very aware that there's a line and there's a specific understanding. And to your point, every kid, every human's going to be different. And it does all root back to what you know about yourself first, understanding. It just made me sad that me personally, throughout what I learned in my experience, one, I didn't learn that I had a pleasure source. And number two, I was 18 and beyond, having partners that didn't take the time to then also pleasure me. So it's like, and I didn't know how to speak up for myself to say, like, I want this. So it's a nuanced kind of like 20-year conversation, depending on where the person is.
Exactly. And how many women in their, let's just say in our age now, still have problems?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was assumed that those who have a vulva orgasm just as easily as those with a penis. And that's where I'm trying to get to. It's like, how do we help understand the parts and how we're able to, because it varies, but at a place where when we're ready to have that experience, we're adequately informed and also that we deserve to be pleasured too.
We
Um,
absolutely deserve it.
and I didn't even know that was a thing.
I think it starts before the bedroom.
Absolutely agree.
It 100% starts before the bedroom. It starts with when you're having the conversation, or having outings and having interactions with your partner, potential partner, etc. It's when you have that interactions. Are you ensuring that you're both being taken care of? Like, are you both doing laundry? Are you both cooking meals? And then learning how to have that conversation, learning how to communicate. Like, hey, thanks for making dinner. I ate it, but it really wasn't my favorite. Next time I'm going to try something. I want to cook something. And as simple as talking about that leads to comfort in other communication around, hey, I know we just finished a really great sex session. Do you mind if next time I try getting on top? I know it really works for you when you're on top because of the way it feels, but it might feel better for me if we try it this way. Just opening up those types of lines of communication.
Mhm.
It seems so simple, but that's where it starts.
Yeah, reciprocity across, it's a partnership, it's an agreement, it's a consensual between the two of reciprocity. And as young kids, 18, 20s, you may or may not know or understand that about yourself to even engage in that kind of discourse.
And that's like starting younger,
Mm-hmm.
empowering the children. Well, did you like that chicken dish that I made?
Mm,
Well, speak up.
right.
I want you to give me your opinion. I want to hear what your thoughts were. Okay, well, what is it that you want to make? Come in the kitchen and help me. And we've started doing activities, and we encourage other families who are in our friend circle where it's that inclusion allows them to have a voice. and it carries over. So starting off young, them not being afraid to say, well, no, I really like chocolate ice cream. My favorite is chocolate. Okay. Well, as they get older, they're going to be able to withstand, hopefully, withstand peer pressure because they're learning how to speak up and know what they like and they dislike.
That's where it starts.
If
Using your
that,
voice, sharing your opinions. That's the unique brilliance that I feel at 42. That's what I'm guiding our generation back to, that we didn't necessarily have an option to share our unique brilliance. I think something, oh, that's not right. No, it is right. You just disagree.
I was told I wasn't right a few times. And I was like, okay, well, here's my opinion. In writing papers at school and things like that, they were the opposite opinion of what they were supposed to be. So then I found factual information. I wrote the entire report on it and I turned it in. And the teachers were all like, well, I can't argue. And here you go. And that's it. I mean, I was in a Catholic high school and I wrote a pro euthanasia paper. And they were like, I can't argue because I had all of my documentation and everything else.
That's the discourse we need these days. It's not about making anyone wrong. It's about understanding what is true for the person and sharing like a healthy discourse about it.
It's that we agree to disagree,
Yeah.
or I respect your opinion, or hey, what is your opinion? Let me hear it.
Yeah.
Let's see if maybe you can change my mind about something. Maybe
Yeah.
chocolate isn't the best. Maybe it's pistachio. So let's go try 5 different chocolates and pistachios and let's see if we can come to an agreement. Maybe it's chocolate chip pistachio that's really the best.
It all goes back to your unique voice first, amplifying for yourself, and then it just flows into life. So, wow, we could have so many chapters of this, so you're welcome back anytime. But what's coming up for you? What's exciting?
Wow, there's so much. I've taken the slow road to everything. A lot of making things organic because being a mom of 2 small boys, still getting treatments and surgeries and everything else, we take things as they come. We roll with the punches. Literally sometimes. I know everybody looks at me and goes, mixed martial arts? Yes. If you haven't tried it, it is very cathartic. Get in there and punch something. So getting back, just making sure our health is good. We are working on some more articles for Kiss and Tell magazine, which is based here out of Florida. It's sex positive and informational. It's phenomenal what they're doing. We are also going to be working on building some curriculum and getting that out there. Then we are always open for clients. And I say clients meaning it's not necessarily sex education. It's not necessarily intimacy in the bedroom. When's the last time anybody went out and just had a cup of coffee with their girlfriends? When's the last time you just went out and took a stroll and had these conversations, opened up communications? Because intimacy isn't just the bedroom anymore. And as cancer patients, we're thrown into a 24/7 battle. And then we come out the other side going, what the hell just happened? And building it back up into what do we like? What do we don't like? What limitations do we have? Do we have any? And often there's nobody for us to talk to. So helping women, especially, but men and women get back out there, finding their new self, coaching them to be exposed back to the real world, help them through the skin anxieties, the testing anxieties, reconnecting with just themselves. Sometimes we lose ourselves during some of this treatment process. So my clients range, from needing a little bit of assistance with education for, what's next in the bedroom after surgeries to reconnecting with themselves. So Seedless Melons is always open for business. So we got a lot of fun, great stuff coming up.
Where'd that name come from?
My sister gets credit. I tell her she always is going to get the credit. She came up as a Peloton handle for me. And so we've used it for our business name just because it resonated with me. Although, I might not have melons anymore. A lot of us might not have melons. You could still be just as sweet. Seedless melons you go in the grocery store, they don't look the same or anything else. But after your treatments and everything else, you still are just as sweet. You can still find those connections. And just because we're different, because seedless melons are different that you find there, it doesn't mean that you're broken or any less a watermelon or whatever you find there. We are who we are, and we're still accepted as we are.
Erin, where can we find you?
You can find me on seedlessmelons.org. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and also on LinkedIn.
Closing remarks as we wrap up.
Just be yourself and cherish every moment that we have all together.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you, Amy.